Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. So yesterday I released a video covering all the data that I'd collected, and honestly I collected all of those stories and all of that data probably over the last 7 days or so. I spent a lot of time putting it all together, delving in deeper into the details of the polls, and honestly as I was working on that video I was thinking to myself, holy freaking moly, this is real bad for Kamala Harris. I'm not sure if it can get any worse, but oh boy, as per usual, how naive I was. I mean, I was expecting things to get worse, but I didn't expect it to come out so fast. And almost instantly, the video I recorded yesterday is old freaking news, not as relevant. It just got so much worse for Kamala Harris. When I said that Kamala Harris is on track to possibly lose the national vote and might lose in all 7 swing states, I guess I might have been onto something. Let me show you guys what's going on. Let's have a conversation about it. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks. So I sat down on my computer starting my workday, and the first headline that pops up on my feed is this. Trump releases internal poll showing himself ahead in every swing state. All but one are within the margin of error. Former president and Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump released an internal poll from his campaign showing him ahead of Vice President and Democratic nominee Kamala Harris in every swing state on Thursday. According to the memo from campaign pollster Tony Fabrizio and John McLaughlin, Trump is up by 5 points in Georgia, 3 in Arizona, up 1 point in Nevada, 1 point in Michigan, 1 point in North Carolina, 1 point in Pennsylvania, and 1 point in Wisconsin. As you can clearly see, President Trump holds an edge in all 7 battleground states, including all the blue wall states. This data projected out would put President Trump at 312 electoral votes. As importantly, President Trump is at or on the precipice of 50% in virtually all of these states. Folks, it seems almost as if we're headed right back to where we were. That's what I've been saying. It feels like I'm getting flashbacks to the last election cycle, which was a couple months ago, oddly enough. But it's pretty much true. We had 2 elections this season. Like I've said previously, Donald Trump might be the first president in American history to win 2 elections in a single freaking year. But anyways, let's get back on track here. What I was trying to say is, it feels the exact same. When Joe Biden first announced that he was running for re-election and all the polls started to come out, it was pretty tight. Most of the races were within the margin of error. Joe Biden had pretty significant leads in some of the states. Then as time went by, as Joe started to campaign, it got closer and closer as time went on, and then we kept seeing the same headline. Trump ahead in every swing state. You guys remember that, right? Well, it seems like we're right back there. We went with Kamala Harris is in a great position to win, although it's going to be a close race, to now Donald Trump is possibly ahead in every single swing state. That is freaking huge, folks. And of course, I know exactly what all the Democrats are going to say. They're going to claim it's another Republican push poll. But obviously, these people haven't been paying attention. There's no such thing as a Republican push poll. There's only Democrat push polls and then actual polls, trustable polls. You know, there's left-wing pollsters that are wildly inaccurate almost every election season, and then there's a select few polls that have been getting it right, or at least have been kind of closer than what the NBC Morning Consults and Yahoo/YouGov polls of the world continue suggesting each election cycle. Oh, it's a Republican, it's an internal poll, it doesn't count. It's almost as if these people forgot about 2016. What happened in 2016? You had all the polls showing Hillary Clinton winning. There was supposedly a 99% chance that Hillary Clinton was going to win the election. Then there was insider advantage, Rasmussen, Trafalgar, I think TIPP if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong in some of these pollsters, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. You had those pollsters and then Trump internal polls showing that Trump was on track to win. You know, everyone kept saying that Trump is crazy. You guys remember that? When he kept saying, look, we got internal polls showing that I'm competing in all of these swing states. I don't know what polls you guys are talking about. And then what ended up happening on election day? Exactly. The Trump internals were right. Dismiss these polls at your own peril, leftoids. But personally, I think they're more accurate than probably the averages that we're seeing. And funny thing is, even if you look at the averages, Trump is still on pace to win. I think he's roughly on pace to win 282 votes, electoral votes, if the averages are right. And if his internals are right, he's on pace to win 312. Even CNN seems to be mentioning that scenario.
I don't really give a hoot about the national polling. It could tell us about trends, but not much more. Look, these are the battleground states, right? These are the 7 we've been looking at. We got 4 weeks to go until the election. Look, the Great Lake battleground states, as close as they've been. Harris by a point in Pennsylvania, 2 in Michigan, 2 in Wisconsin. Way too close to call. You come over to the right side of the screen with me. Sunbelt battleground states. You see more red on this side of the screen than blue. We do see Harris up by a point in Nevada. Again, way too close to call. Trump by a point in North Carolina, Georgia, 2 in Arizona. This has been the consistent story since Kamala Harris got into the race, right? That is that she has done better in those Great Lake battleground states. She has closed the gap in the Sunbelt battleground states, but still friendlier terrain for Trump than those Great Lake battlegrounds. If the polls are exactly right, Kamala Harris gets 276 electoral votes to Donald Trump's 262 because she carries those Great Lake battleground states despite losing North Carolina, Georgia, and Arizona. But let's say we have a polling miss like we had in 2020. What happens then? Well, then Donald Trump wins the election in a blowout with 312 electoral votes because he carries all these Great Lake battleground states, plus Nevada, plus the other states he was leading in, Arizona, North Carolina, and Georgia.
It's not looking good, and what it feels like is complete campaign freefall for Kamala Harris. CNN seems to be openly having that conversation, and now even the far-left Guardian is admitting what I think we're all witnessing. This headline might be the most devastating, for the Democrats that is, of the entire election season. Kamala Harris campaign's record $1 billion funds failed to translate into swing state advantage. That has got to be one of the most brutal headlines I think I've ever read. You know, they did something never seen before. The last-minute bait and switch, the little switcheroo that they did. They then launched this incredible media campaign and fundraising apparatus. I mean, what they did for Kamala Harris ahead of the DNC was truly unprecedented. It's never happened before. We're talking about billions of dollars in campaign contribution, not just the $1 billion that supposedly came from grassroots donations. No, I'm talking about the other type of donations, media companies working on her behalf, all the celebrities, just the whole media apparatus that went into total Kamala hype mode. I mean, all of that. Then, of course, the money they generated, the constant Kamala Harris ads. I mean, they mobilized so much money that the moment Kamala Harris joined the race and started collecting all of these funds, every YouTuber on the platform all of a sudden is making 20% more. I'll tell you, that is exactly what's happening. Every time you turn on the TV, it's a Kamala Harris ad. They spent so much money to try to get this done. And the result was Kamala Harris is now worse off than she was after the initial announcement that she was replacing Joe Biden. That is disastrous. And I think what really happened here was a kind of, narrative versus reality event. The narrative was that Kamala Harris was the greatest thing since sliced bread, right? But then reality started to kick in. People started to get to know Kamala Harris, and she's obviously one of the least likable politicians in the entire game. I mean, she gives Hillary Clinton a run for her money, I'd say. In fact, I might even argue that she's worse than Hillary Clinton. I think a lot of numbers would suggest that. And so people got to know her, and the rest is history. No matter how much money you spend, if your candidate sucks, it's game over. I mean, this might be a little bit weird, but I think this Andrew Yang tweet kind of exemplifies what I'm talking about. Andrew Yang just wrote yesterday, "I get the frustration. I just don't think that Trump is the answer." Andrew Yang's a Democrat shill, and even he's admitting that he gets the frustration. They know it. They understand what's going on. They understand that nobody likes Kamala Harris and that everything is falling apart. She is getting absolutely cooked. She got cooked on 60 Minutes, so bad that 60 Minutes had to make a bunch of edits. She's getting totally cooked all over social media, and all the podcast appearances and stuff that she's doing. The only way to describe it is Kamala is getting ratioed into oblivion. And then on top of it, this whole Biden and DeSantis situation. I mean, DeSantis is straight up cooking her.
Hey, Governor, could you just help clear something else up that happened earlier this week? And we were actually debating it at this table, so I got to ask. There was some praise that came your way from President Biden and said that they had spoken, you had spoken. Then there was this brouhaha over Vice President Harris apparently reaching out to you and maybe not taking the call, and this whole thing, accusations that this had all become politicized. Can you just speak to what happened there?
I am working with the President of the United States. I'm working with the Director of FEMA. I'm marshaling all my state assets. We've been doing this now nonstop for over 2 weeks between Helene and this. And so if there's anything I can leverage to benefit my people, I'm going to do it. The fact of the matter is they put out a story saying I didn't even know she was trying to reach me, but she has no role in this process. And I've been dealing with these storms in Florida under both Trump and Biden. Neither of them ever politicized it. And in fact, all the storms I've dealt with under this administration, although I've worked well with the president, she has never called in Florida. She has never offered any support. So what she's doing is she's trying to inject herself into this because of her political campaign. So as the governor here who's leading this, I don't have time for those games. I don't care about her campaign. Obviously, I'm not a supporter of hers, but she has no role in this process. And so I'm working with the people I need to be working with. We're leveraging the resources I need to be leveraging. And for her to try to say that my focus should be on catering to her, rather than worrying about my own people just shows she doesn't understand what it means to respond to these natural disasters.
It's so bad that I just randomly got a call from one of my family friends not too long ago, specifically about this topic. People clearly see Kamala Harris's actions as non-genuine, as politically motivated as she attempts to insert herself in the hurricane response efforts. Then, of course, she made it political by attacking Ron DeSantis. It backfired spectacularly, and so it's all building up and possibly one of the swiftest political collapses of all time. Not exactly surprising. I mean, that's what happens, right? Volatility. Look at the stock market. If you have a growth stock, let's say a tech stock, that goes on this monumental run, it's only logical that a lot of people are going to start selling. The higher and faster the rise, the quicker and more disastrous the descent, right? In this case, we might call it less of a descent and more of a crash. Kamala Harris's political stock is going bankrupt. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.